How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'd like to review for you the Catwoman figure based on her appearance in Batman Hush, made by Medicom Toys as part of their MAFEX action figure line. Full disclosure, I'm not really sure where she's available at the time of me making this video because I got her from Japan, which would make this probably the Japan version, as they're called. And the figure stand is in the package, but it's sort of rattling around in there. I'm not really sure what's going on. We'll find out as we open it. Anywho, front of the box, you've been looking at it, looks like this. Great big window. You can see the figure, 2 extra head, a midsection, and some hands poking out the side there, as well as the whip. Here's what the top of the box looks like, Catwoman, Batman Hush. And then here's what the left-hand side of the packaging looks like, while here we get a good look at the right-hand side. On the back, we get more figure imagery, as well as a comparison of all 3 of the heads that she comes with. 2 goggles down and 1 goggles up. Okay, seems like we've stared at her in the box long enough. Let's yoink her out. Yoinkity yoink. Oh, I see. At some point, the bag became unsealed, and the base just fell out of it. Maybe it was never sealed properly in the first place. Anyway, who cares? And here's what she looks like just floating around inside of her bubble, or more like imprisoned in her bubble. I'm going to be careful not to make a big... Oh, wow, nothing is taped in. I got to be very careful. Don't scratch the faces or any other part of the body. Here's an interesting thing. All the hands that go together, they're all attached by this little bar in the middle. I've never seen that before. All right, and here's everything that came out of the box. The figure, both of the extra heads, the extra midsection, the whip, 5 more sets of interchangeable hands, and the figure stand. Right off the bat, I'll just go ahead and tell you that this is the Catwoman figure that I've been waiting for a long time. It's simple, and it's black, but it's also comic accurate, and this is my favorite look for Catwoman. Just the straight black suit with the buckly boots and the gloves, and the little zipper that goes all the way up with the ring at the top. The simple Catwoman goggles. I just really like this look. This is my favorite and definitive Catwoman look as far as I'm concerned. And the figure is not just black the whole way through. I mean, you've got a slightly shinier black for the body, but then when you get into the gloves and also her boots, they're actually more of a matte black. So there are 2 slightly different color textures here. As far as details, there really aren't that many to speak of because it really is just a black suit. They do have the zipper that goes all down the front, and also the zipper ring is actually a little tiny metal hoop that they've attached to the figure. We know that there is another option for a torso, so I'm going to swap that out right now for you. You can see that it's just 2 little barbells that hold the mid area on, and you pop it onto the bottom barbell, easy as pie, and then you pop it into the top barbell. And now she has her whip around her waist that also breaks up some of the black. So you may want to pose her like this. But I do want to stress again, for those of you who may not know, this really is supposed to be Catwoman's whip that she has around her waist. In other words, posing her with this midsection and the whip in her hand would just be kind of weird. Like, Catwoman doesn't walk around with 2 whips, just the one. All right, I've switched it back. Now let's take a closer look at the head sculpt. I like this very much. For one, you can see through her opaque goggles and actually clearly make out what her eyes look like. I do realize that the box art for the Catwoman that we originally were sold on had slightly bluer tinted goggles, but overall I think that it looks very, very good. I don't care whether it's a slightly darker blue or not. I think that this is way more than passable. And then this is the first of the interchangeable heads I wanted to share with you. It doesn't really matter which order. This is just the one that I chose first. It looks very much the same, except for she looks angry, perturbed, vicious even. This is the face she makes when she's clawing out your eyeballs. And then finally, we have the Selena Kyle face sculpt with the goggles up. And I gotta hand it to MAFEX. They've done a fantastic job with the face paint. And as far as the interchangeable hands go, we have 2 closed fists, 2 pointy fingers, 2 grabby hands, 2 claw hands, 2 splayed finger hands. Oh, and also the ones that came on the body. And then the only other accessory that Catwoman has that isn't, well, an interchangeable body part is her whip. The interesting thing about this whip is they've approached its posability in a way that I've never seen anyone do with a Catwoman whip before. It's actually separate pieces that have all been fit together, and it makes the whip, in some ways, more posable than any other Catwoman whip that I've ever seen. That's certainly an interesting way of approaching this accessory. As for how well this Catwoman is articulated, let's find out together. Clearly, we know there's going to be a ball joint in the torso. That offers a good range of motion there. And then she's also got the ball joint in the waist, and that offers a good range of motion. Together, the torso with the waist articulation, she can do some pretty darn good acrobats that cats do. And then she's got neck articulation and head articulation. So again, very, very articulate. You can get her into some really Catwoman-like positions. Just pose this figure right to the nines. I really like this so far. And then the shoulders, they've got butterflies. And then she's got the bicep swivels. She's got, whoopsies. Well, there you go. There's the butterflies. I guess just be aware that these joints will pop out. At least they're not breaking. I don't care as long as they don't break. At any rate, she's got the rounded hinge right there in the armpits. She's got the bicep swivels right here, double jointed elbows, and how do they crunch? I'd honestly expected a little bit more posability from those elbows. There's really no reason why they shouldn't crunch up. I mean, the gloves aren't touching anything. They just sculpted them a little bit limited. That's weird. Now, it does look like she should have top of the glove articulation. I don't think she does, and I don't want to force it and break the figure. And then, of course, she's got that rounded hinge in the wrist right there. And then for her below the belt region, we see that she's got the two little ball joints there, and they are superposable, and they're also drop hinges. They don't drop down too far, but they drop down enough that you can get her legs all the way up into poses. And she also has some rotation in there as well. And those knees, yep, they're crunchy enough for me. I think that that's pretty darn good, actually. For the top of the boot, you really would think that it's supposed to be articulated, but I don't think it is, actually. And I don't want to force that and break it. And then, of course, you've got the great big round hinge in the ankles that offers ample articulation, as well as the toe articulation. Is that as far as it goes? Just like that? Let me try and push it a bit further. Nope, that's it. Now, is this enough articulation? Well, I would say so. I mean, if this is not enough articulation for you, then how much are you looking for? How unnatural do you want to be able to pose your toys? She can do pretty much everything that I've ever seen any really talented action figure photographer be able to pull off on his Instagram account. So yeah, I think that she's amply articulated. And then as for the comparisons, we have the Jay Lee version from DC Collectibles on this side. We have the classic DC superheroes right beside the MAFEX version. And then we have the very chesty DC Collectibles New 52 version. Seriously, these are like popping out. Alas, it is accurate to how she was portrayed in the New 52. Personally, I prefer this to be a zipped up to the neck look. Now, the next comparison I thought might be worth making is to slap her in between the Superman and the Batman from the MAFEX Hush action figure line. Another one that I thought might be kind of fun is the DC Icons Joker, Harley Quinn, and Nightwing. I feel like you could probably get away with taking photos with these figures with Catwoman as well. Okay, now to bring in just some more 6-inch scale Batman Rogues gallery, just so you get a bit better of an idea of exactly who you can pose her with, and it won't look too bad. Man, I tell you, this Bane figure, he would probably stand about that much taller if he could just stretch his legs out straight. But even when you stretch his legs out, that's what you get. Who thought this was a good idea? Now Bane is just perpetually stuck in a farting position. So now we're at that final question, at the end of the review, that I try to answer for all of you folks at home. Do I think this was a good purchase? Do I think that it is a reasonable idea that you would want to spend some of your hard-earned pennies, nickels, and dimes on this bad girl? Am I satisfied with her? Well, yes, definitely yes. I would say she's probably the very best attempt at a highly articulated, classic-looking, black-suited Catwoman that's on the market. Her articulation is, as of yet, unrivaled by any other black-suited Catwoman figure made to date. She is completely comic book accurate, and if you've been collecting this 6-inch scale MAFEX Hush Batman figure line, then this Catwoman, in my opinion, is a necessity to complete the entire look on your shelf. When this line of figures is finished, when MAFEX is finished with their Hush offerings, we're going to have a fantastic looking adult collectible toy shelf. So you won't want to miss out on this Catwoman. Anyway, super friends, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Hopefully you found this review to be an interesting, insightful, hopefully even a little bit entertaining waste of time for the afternoon or whenever you watched it. If you did, you know where the like button is. If you're not subscribed yet, then I invite you today on behalf of the rest of the super friends to join the DC squad by hitting the red subscribe button. And I will see you with the next one. Have a DC day, everybody, and take care.